Everyone's calling Pokemon Champions pay to win, but after 100 hours, I think they're completely wrong. Look, there are some real issues with the game that the player base has every right to complain about, but most of the outrage, especially the pay to win stuff, I think is totally unwarranted. The Pokemon community has always struggled to find a proper competitive title. For years, we've had to buy both versions of the game, trade, transfer, and keep things in home, as well as grinding for hundreds of hours just to build one usable team. So when I see people losing their minds over basic microtransactions, it honestly makes me understand why people say Pokemon fans just complain for the sake of complaining. And in today's video, I'm breaking down all the major systems of Pokemon Champions, microtransactions, battle mechanics, the new training system, and how Pokemon transfers work, as well as how accessible competitive teams and items really are. And if you're into that, make sure to like and subscribe, and let's dive right into it. We're going to be starting with my personal favorite change in the entire game. In Scarlet and Violet, building a new competitive team was extremely painful. You'd need to grind for hours to get good Dittos with the right IVs, then take the time to breed forever with the Destiny Knot. Then you would need to grind Crystal Tarot raids for EXP candies as well as money so you could get items to boost your Pokemon up as quickly as possible. Or you could just bottle cap everything and spend most of your time in the raids. No matter how you did it, making a new team could easily take up to 4 to 10 hours each time you wanted to create 6 new Pokemon. Pokemon Champions is completely different. You can do that all way faster than in previous titles, even counting all of the quality of life changes over the years. It makes me wonder why it took them so long to finally pop out a Battle Arena title on the Switch. They completely reworked how EVs and IVs work. First, you don't have to grind your Pokemon to level 50 and shove a bunch of candies down their throats anymore. You just need to transfer them over from Pokemon Home and they have everything they need, and it is very super simple. On top of that, each Pokemon have a total of 66 stats per distribution, which only costs you about 200 victory points to completely change your stats around. On top of that, you can swap their abilities, moves, and nature for 500 Poke Points each. Yeah, it sounds like a lot, but this game throws victory points at you like it's crazy. And honestly, outside of all of the different changes you can do with Pokemon, I'm having a hard time figuring out, outside of buying cosmetics, what to do with them. The massive reduction in time barrier is absolutely huge. It lets people like me who don't want to spend hours grinding mundane and boring gameplay, and lets me jump right into testing new teams with very, very little barrier to entry. Personally, that's always been one of my biggest gripes with competitive VGC. I'd play a season, then drop it completely because I didn't feel like grinding out new Pokemon over and over again. Even if I could do it in 4 to 5 hours, I'd rather not, as a lot of the systems built around the newer games have been very, very vanilla and boring. And this new system just fixes that problem for me personally. If I can play a handful of battles and earn a couple hundred victory points over an hour and completely rebuild several Pokemon, it just feels great. So for the new training method, I think it's an easy 4 out of 5 stars. The only thing I would personally change would be making the victory points a little bit cheaper for moves themselves. 250 victory points is a little steep to change one move out, but overall, I think that's awesome. So let's go ahead and talk about the shop and microtransaction, because people were really worried about this, and personally I think they did a great job implementing it. The premium membership is $50 a year or $5 a month, and it gives you extra storage spots and more battle teams. I understand why people don't like paying for storage, but servers do cost money. What I personally did was move all of my Pokemon from Home into Champions, so I only had to pay for Champions fees now. Still, dropping another $50 on top of $15 for Home feels a little bit rough just for pixels. I do understand the argument against it, but overall I don't think it's bad. Next, the Premium Battle Pass is absolutely not as bad as I expected, but it's not great either. I completed the Battle Pass within about 15 hours of gameplay, and the fact that they lock some Mega Stones and certain Pokemon behind it does feel a little bit scummy. Giving out summon tickets and free training vouchers is quite nice, but I hope that they make it a little bit better, as there's only about 30 unique items for the Battle Pass. Each Battle Pass lasts about 30 days and costs $10. And if they keep this up all year, you're looking around $120 on Battle Passes alone per year. Add the yearly storage fee in, and you're up to $170 per year. And I find that extremely high for VGC. You don't need it, but you're gonna want those Mega Stones. My biggest worry right now is the quality of the items in the Battle Pass. The first Battle Pass is extremely lackluster. There's only 15 actual cosmetics, and the rest of it is a mix of Pokemon, coupons, and Mega Stones. For $10, it feels extremely light, and after level 30, you no longer get any cool items. You just get victory points for the rest of the levels until 50, and I really feel like they did not do a great job on the Battle Pass, which leaves me with a rating of 2 out of 5 stars. This feels extremely rough around the edges, and I don't think that they planned very well for their player base. On a brighter side, the free-to-play Frontier Shop is actually a pretty solid addition. You can basically buy all your battle items, Mega Stones, and accessories with victory points. And just finishing the tutorial of Pokemon Champions gives you enough points to almost buy every held item and berry you need to get started. And of course, right now, some strong competitive items are missing, but I'll assume they'll add them later, so make sure to save your victory points. Prices range from 4,000 to 5,000 victory points, with music tracks being ridiculously expensive. It gives long-term players something to grind for. There's also an extremely long achievement list that rewards you even more victory points, and I really do enjoy this system. It mixes Pokemon usage, Pokemon types, and progression to make you use different Pokemon for teams to get quicker access to battle points. I find it an extremely fun way to provide players a tiered system to get more. Overall, my thoughts on victory points, the shop, and achievements are mostly positive. I'd give it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. It could become one of the best systems in Pokemon if they play their cards right. But if they get too greedy, raising prices, adding a second paid currency, or locking strong items behind battle passes, it will feel like a kick in the nut to the average player. So let's hope that they take the $170 they have per year and chill out with adding additional costs. Before we get into the biggest complaint, I wanted to add a quick side note. I'm going to be running a gym league with badges and a tournament on this channel very, very soon. So if you're down to battle, compete, and want to talk to me truly, you can subscribe and join the Discord down below. I'm not that good, but you can beat my ass and make sure you look awesome. Now, the biggest point of contention right now is casual and private battles. You're stuck with a 4v4 and can't do 6v6 battles in any way, which sucks because I think that 6v6 battles is the best way to play. It really allows people to team build completely. However, I actually really do love the new private battle system. I think it's one of the best pieces of works that Pokemon has done in a long while for their multiplayer. It works just like Super Smash Bros. Ultimate arenas. You can have up to 12 people in one arena with spectators. It will make homebrew tournaments in Discord super fun and easy, and make it so people don't have to buy a $200 piece of equipment to screen share in Discord. The only thing that's missing, once again, is being able to edit so you can have your own custom rules in your lobby. I do think they bungled the launch really hard with this and hurt them more than it helped. People are already on shaky grounds constantly with the Pokemon, so this kind of thing just adds fuel to the fire for the public player base. With the systems, I think again it's 2 out of 5 stars, being carried by the private lobby. There is an extreme amount of room for improvement. However, the big thing right now is the fact of lack of customability. As for the recruitment gacha, I know a lot of people hate it, but I actually think it's great. Being able to summon 10 new completely viable Pokemon with great stats and moves right out of the gate feels pretty good. Yeah, it is extremely expensive victory point wise, but the game gives them out pretty freely, so it's not too much of a huge issue for me. Being able to do daily quests, achievements, and including the battle pass, I find that you have plenty to go around to summon and recruit Pokemon. On top of that, the fact that you can easily pull Pokemon from home with no cost leaves it almost a moot point to me. Maybe I just personally want to see the new Farmer Mommy, but that's me. On top of all of that, you can apparently pull shiny Pokemon from the summons, which is awesome. I'm so glad they added some form of shiny hunting into a competitive Pokemon game because I know how much shiny Pokemon hunters love their shinies. And the fact that you can make a competitive viable shiny Pokemon team through gacha summoning would be an insane feat and create a whole new loop of live stream series. My final rating of the gacha system honestly is probably a 4 out of 5 stars. I think overall it is extremely accessible, extremely open, and it pairs very well with the new training methods. And I wanted to go through my full game, not moving Pokemon from home over to Champions, but I decided against that. And even with only around 20 hours behind me, I had over 50 Pokemon fully permanently recruited into my game with zero issue. A lot of people I've seen complaining about all of the price points, battle passes, and microtransactions are people with 10-year-old plus accounts, which would put them in the 25 to 30 age range. And one of the things I genuinely don't understand about players is the fact that you've been playing Pokemon for almost 20 years at this point, most likely, which means you have probably hundreds of thousands of Pokemon in Pokemon Home that can be freely migrated back and forth between the two. And I think that a lot of people are overplaying this card a little bit hard. There is no waiting time outside of a handful of loading screens. Other great stuff that they've added are online competitions, public battle data, a friends list, and mystery gifts. And if you haven't already, type the word champion into mystery gifts to get yourself a free Mac Champ. Overall, I find the Pokemon Champions launch a bit of a rough start for a VGC platform. However, I think that they did everything in a pretty solid and fair way that puts players like myself who never wanted to grind for Pokemon to play in competitive, a leg up on the stage. I finally feel like I can spend a couple hours a month and still be up to date with the meta as long as I summon and play every once in a while. And that feels great. And if you guys are enjoying Pokemon Champions, make sure to like, subscribe, and join the Discord. Have a wonderful and blessed day.